Is decluttering on the list of things that you would like to commit to this year, and you want to make sure your efforts aren't in vain? I've collected some of the best decluttering ideas, sure to help you get started and keep you motivated and successful along the way. We are a little over a month into the new year, and honestly, February can be pretty tough, especially as it relates to goals that we've made revolving around our house, our decluttering, and things like that, because we don't have that same excitement that we had during our New Year's goals and resolutions. We don't feel quite as motivated, and we're not quite to the point of spring cleaning that kind of gives us that internal motivation. So we can get a little bit stagnant, which is why I wanted to give you this video today, kind of outlining a step-by-step guide of how to go through the process of decluttering. Whether you're a beginner or you're in those middle stages and feeling a little bit stagnant, I think this video will be helpful to you. Step number one is to start with a clear why. Why do you even want to declutter in the first place? Just hearing me or someone else tell you that it's a good idea and it will help to simplify your life is not going to cut it when you are in the physical act of decluttering and making those decisions. When those tough times come, if you don't feel the desire inside of you, it's going to be way too easy for you to give up and not make any progress. And so if you haven't determined a why, that is the very first thing you need to do. I would argue that this step is probably more important than the actual decluttering itself, because it sets you up and gets you that motivation that you need to keep going on. Now, the reasons why someone would declutter vary all over the board. You might just want to do it because you're sick of having a messy looking house. Maybe you have children that you'll be passing your belongings down to, and you don't want to leave them with a lot of burden of this excess clutter. Whatever your reason is, make it your own. It is personal. Don't let anybody tell you that your reason to declutter is not a valid reason, because it is. I did a video recently about how you can turn any excuse that you may have towards decluttering, simplifying, into your actual reason why. And so if you are struggling with coming up with your why, ask yourself what your hesitations are. Why are you putting it off? And those things may be the very reason why you should be doing it. And if you haven't watched that video yet, I would encourage you to do that. Step number two in the process is to recognize what clutter is to you. Again, this is going to vary quite a bit from person to person, because we all have different ideas of the threshold, the amount of things that we can comfortably manage, that we want to live amongst. We also have different ideas about what physical objects, which items are considered clutter in our lives. I've mentioned before that I don't have any wall clocks. They would be considered clutter in my life. I just use my phone if I want to check the time. But many of you have commented that you use your wall clocks and you look at them daily, multiple times a day, and that is great. That means that clocks on the wall are not clutter for you. But you can see how if you have a very strict path, you hear somebody say that something is clutter but you don't feel like it is, it can really muddy up the waters. And so this again is something you need to determine for yourself. Do some thinking about your spaces and determine what it is about them that is making you feel like there is clutter there. Is it that you have too many of something? Is it that you have objects that you're not using or you don't even like? And that will help you get a better roadmap moving forward with your decluttering journey. Step number three is to take a varied speed approach. This is the step that I think most people get wrong when they are decluttering, because once that why has been determined and clutter has been understood, they tend to want to go full speed at everything and just start decluttering really as quickly as they possibly can. And I'm here to say that that isn't probably the best way to go about things. In fact, it may be detrimental to your success, because you might end up getting worn out right away and not want to continue, or you might end up making some bad decisions. So instead, I recommend to think about the decluttering process as sort of a peeling of an onion. Now, the outer layer of the onion is really quick to peel off, and that is how you can start your decluttering process. In this step, you're going to tackle those things that are very easy to declutter. So anything that's garbage, anything that is broken, things that you're tired of seeing in your home, those things, those decisions are sort of autopilot. You don't need to think about them that much. You can walk around your house with a big garbage bag and just throw things in there. But as you move deeper into the layers of the onion, you're going to slow down a bit and make those decisions more thoughtfully and really take your time, because we're going to be dealing with more sentimental items, items that we don't want to make mistakes on. And so recognizing that you will have moments of fast momentum speed and moments where you're more slow and methodical, and that is completely natural. It's going to be important for you to recognize that so that you don't get frustrated during the process. The fourth step is don't allow any extra in. So once you've gone through and decluttered those items on the outer peel of that onion, the quick decisions have been made, you're going to want to take a little bit of a pause and a reset and establish some rules for yourself to ensure that you're not compounding the situation at hand. So you're about to embark on this decluttering process that's going to take a lot of mental energy, and the worst thing that you can do is keep adding items in on top of that and really making that process even longer. Some ways that you can establish these rules: some people have a one in, one out philosophy, where if they do buy something during this step, they will eliminate something else so that the net number of items isn't increasing at any time. I've also heard of people who say, if I'm decluttering clothing, for example, I will not buy anything in that category until I've gone through and decluttered all of that category of items. And another thing that will be really helpful during this step is to just not do the window shopping, not do the browsing, not go looking for deals, because again, bringing extra in is just going to make the decluttering process so much longer. Step 5 is determine your approach. There are so many different tactics that you can use when it comes to decluttering, and it's up to you to try some of them out and determine what is the best fit for you. Some popular ones include KonMari decluttering, which was made famous by Marie Kondo, and that involves getting everything in a certain category of items into one spot so that you can see everything, make some comparisons, make some decisions about what you value the most and which things are more easily able to let go of. Another popular technique is to declutter a little bit of time every single day. So keeping that consistency going, walking around your house maybe for just 10 minutes a day with a basket and a garbage sack, and finding those items that you know that you can declutter pretty quickly. And then the third thing that I wanted to mention, another approach that is really popular, is to go through a specific area, one area at a time. And this might be a small thing like a basket or a cabinet or a shelf of your bookshelf, and just going through and determining what you want to keep, what you want to declutter. And then as you gain confidence, you can move up to larger spaces, maybe even full rooms. Although these three are probably the more popular approaches to use when it comes to decluttering, there are so many other ways that you can go about it, and so you'll need to do a little bit of research to determine what the best fit is for you. In step number 6, you're going to be making thoughtful decisions, going along with what you have determined as being your best technique that you're going to be using. You're going to go through your items one by one and decide if you're going to keep them or if you're going to let them go. And this is really when the tough work of decluttering comes into play. We can start to feel that decision fatigue set in because so many decisions need to be made. And again, this is when we're going to slow down the process a little bit and just be a little bit more mindful, a little bit more careful about the decisions that we make. Now, with certain things that aren't as sentimental to us, like maybe books or kitchen items or clothing even, we can set a number limit on those things to help us make our decisions, so we can find our top 10 favorites and keep those, and then the rest can go, or something like that. Or if we are looking at sentimental items, we can think about how we've interacted with them within our life, if we feel like they're bringing value to our life or not. You can also determine what you want to do with these items. Do you want to have a garage sale and make up some of the money that you have spent on them? Do you want to donate them directly to a thrift store? Or do you have special items that you'd like to pass down to children or grandchildren, and determine if you'd like to do that now or write a note for them for when you pass away that they can inherit these items. Whatever you do during this process, just make sure in this step that you're being very mindful, very intentional about it, because again, this is a slower part of the process and you're going to want to take your time. Step number 7 is to set some boundaries. Up until this point, you've been making your decluttering decisions based on the item itself, more about the quality of the item. Does it bring value to your life? Does it bring joy to you? Do you want to keep it around? And now you're going to be focusing more on the quantity of items that you have. So determining how many things will fit comfortably into any given space that you have. Now notice I said the word comfortably. Just because something fits and you have to cram it and push it in, that doesn't mean that you should have it there. And so determine what is comfortable for you. Maybe you like a little bit more breathing room in your closet than somebody else does, but the idea here is that you should be able to easily access things and put them away. That would be a comfortable level. And so you're going to be thinking through things like how many clothes you can fit in your closet, how many items you can fit into your drawer or on your shelves, and then making decisions based on that. Setting those limits. One big word of caution during this particular step is how you view your closet space. Closets tend to be a crutch for some people. They feel like they can keep a lot of excess because they have the room to store it. And so I would encourage you to really think about your closets more as a temporary storage space, an area that you can access regularly, instead of just somewhere where you can store filled up boxes that you never plan to look inside. Also during this step is when we're looking for efficiencies in our home. We're looking to make sure that every item has a place to belong. We can decide where that is so that we know where to get things, we know where to put things when we're done using them. This can also be a really fun stage of the decluttering process when we start to make things really pretty looking. We find those cute organizing containers that work so well, and we just really find those systems that work best for us. The 8th step is to reevaluate, and during this step you're really going to be going back through steps 5 through 7 multiple times. It's likely that once you have gotten through and decided on limits on things and lived with those systems for a little while, that you're going to recognize you still have more than you're able to comfortably manage. This is totally normal. This happens all of the time. All you need to do is simply go back and think about a technique that you want to use, decide making some thoughtful decisions on your decluttering, and then set some limits again. And so you go through those 3 steps again and really refine the amount of items that you have, the types of items that you have, until you get it down to the level that works best for you. Each time you go through the reevaluating process, you're going to gain more and more confidence in your decision making, and those steps will actually go really quickly, much quicker than they did the first time. And you're going to also find that there are things that you didn't feel comfortable decluttering back the first time you went through the process that you are now more than happy to get rid of. And the final step of the decluttering process is to maintain what you have. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret that you probably already know. The decluttering process is never fully over, and that's because we always need to be mindful of the items that we surround ourselves with and determine if they are causing us stress, if they are causing us overwhelm, and to make sure that we're not falling into the same mess that we started off with. I like this quote from Apartment Therapy, and I think it explains it really well. Decluttering is just editing your home, and since your home story is constantly being written, decluttering is a never-ending task. Now, hopefully at this point in the process, this sentiment doesn't freak you out or send you running away, because you recognize that to be true. After going through each of these steps and doing all of the hard work that it takes to get your belongings down to a manageable level that feels comfortable to you, it doesn't mean that you're never going to buy anything new ever again. Of course, it just means that from now on, any decisions that you make about what you bring into your home are going to be very thoughtful and intentional. One of the best things that you can do during this maintaining phase is to just constantly be thinking about decluttering on a daily basis. You probably will no longer be doing large decluttering sessions throughout your home, but if you do have just a box maybe that's easily available, that you can set things in that you no longer use, you no longer like, that are no longer working for you, and then once that box is full, just go ahead and zip it off to the donation center or wherever you donate your things. That is just going to make things much more streamlined. For me, I keep my donation bin in the back of my vehicle. That makes it super easy, but you might have it near your door or in one of your closets. And if you feel yourself slipping back into old habits and you need to start over again, just go back to step 1 and reevaluate your why. Those steps again are: 1, start with a clear why. 2, recognize what clutter is to you. 3, take a varied speed approach. 4. Don't allow extra in. 5. Determine your approach. 6. Make thoughtful decisions. 7. Set limits. 8. Reevaluate. And 9. Maintain what you have. I know that if you follow these decluttering ideas and the step-by-step guide, you are sure to find success in your decluttering journey. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope that you'll stop by the cottage again really soon.